I'm very excited for 6.6. And with the official announcement of version 6.6 special program, a lot of players are wondering what to expect during the live stream. This is usually the point where the community shifts focus from the current patch to what's coming next, especially when it comes to planning Primogems and deciding whether to save or spend. So in today's video, I'll be covering everything you can expect from the 6.6 live stream, from the release date to the upcoming characters, banner structure, story previews, events, new content, and all the major reveals that will be officially confirmed during the special program. Also, I have started a new Weathering Waves channel, so it would be awesome if you guys can subscribe to it and share it to improve the reach. That would mean a lot to me. So, with that said, let's break everything down step by step. First, let's get into the version 6.6 itself. The patch is expected to go live around May 20th, with the official live stream likely dropping around May 8th. That gives us a bit of time, but the beta already gives a very strong direction. This is a Hexen Zirkel-focused patch with Northern Mondstadt expansion themes and a strong connection to the Fatui lore that's been building for a long time. There are 3 new characters in this version, 2 5-stars and 1 4-star, and all 3 are very clearly designed to work together rather than feeling random. Nicole is the standout here. She's a 5-star Pyro Catalyst support, and honestly one of the most talked about characters we've seen in a while. Her entire kit is built around giving your team value without needing field time. Her skill creates a shield and provides a team-wide attack buff that scales off her own attack, and her burst adds coordinated off-field hits that trigger alongside your active character. The important decal is that these hits don't apply pyro, which means they don't interfere with reactions at all. That alone makes her incredibly flexible. At C0, she's already being compared to a 5-star version of Bennett, but without the circle restriction and with shielding instead of healing. Her uptime is extremely high. Her buffs are consistent, and she fits into almost any team without forcing a specific playstyle. As you go higher in constellations, she starts adding elemental resistance shred and eventually defense ignore at C6, which pushes her even further into top-tier support territory. This is the kind of character that doesn't just feel strong in one patch, she's built to stay relevant for a long time. Then we have Lohen, the 5-star Cryo Polearm DPS. His design is very different. Instead of being a passive support, he's built around active team coordination. He uses 2 systems, Joy stacks from his own attacks and Triumph stacks generated by off-field teammates. When those stacks are built up, he triggers a massive enhanced cryo hit that scales based on how much your team contributed. His burst follows that up with multiple cryo strikes that also benefit from those stacks. What makes him interesting is that his damage isn't just about his own stats. It depends on how well your team is working together. That naturally pushes him into melt setups, especially with characters like Duran, and that's where most players are focusing right now. His animations have also been getting a lot of praise in beta. They're smooth, fast, and feel very polished. The only thing holding some players back is the ongoing discussion about whether he'll move to the standard banner later. It hasn't been officially confirmed in beta, but earlier leaks suggested it, and nothing has directly contradicted that yet. So compared to Nicole, he's a bit more situational in terms of pull priority. Then there's Prune, the new 4-star Animo Catalyst. She's a support with off-field Animo damage and a normal attack damage bonus that scales with her own attack. Her animations are surprisingly fun. She swings what looks like a giant hammer, and the community has already picked up on how unique that feels. She's designed to fit naturally into teams with Nicole and Lohen, and since she's rate up across the banners, most players pulling in 6.6 will end up getting her. Looking at weapons, Nicole's signature catalyst is built almost perfectly around her kit. High base attack, attack substat, and a passive that increases team damage based on her total attack, while also solving her energy needs. It makes reaching her optimal thresholds much easier. Lohen's polearm focuses on boosting his stance-based damage and scaling his normal, charged, skill, and burst output in a very direct way. Both weapons are strong, but Nicole's stands out more because of how much team value it amplifies. The banner structure itself is split into 2 phases, and based on current patterns and beta information, we already have a pretty clear idea of how it's shaping up. Most likely, Phase 1 will feature Nicole as the new 5-star, alongside a Nahida rerun. This pairing fits well in terms of timing, especially with Nahida being one of the more overdue Archons, making the first half feel like the stronger, more broadly appealing banner. The second half is expected to bring Lohen as the new 5-star, paired with Duran as the rerun. Compared to the first phase, this side feels a bit more selective depending on what players are looking for from their polls. Prune is also expected to be the featured 4-star across both phases, keeping some consistency throughout the patch. Of course, none of this is officially confirmed yet, and Hoyoverse will reveal the exact banner order during the version livestream, so it's always worth waiting for that before making any final decisions. Now, let's talk about the artifact sets in 6.6. The first set is very clearly designed for the new Hexenzirkel style supports. The 2-piece gives energy recharge, which is already helping with uptime, but the 4-piece is where it really stands out. After using your skill, it gives a team-wide elemental damage bonus based on the user's element, around 20% at base, which is already solid and very easy to maintain, even off-field. But the real value comes when you run 2 of these characters in the same team. The set upgrades to around 40%, and on top of that, it also gives an additional bonus based on the on-field character's element. So instead of just buffing one element, it starts adapting to your carry and boosting multiple parts of the team at once. It doesn't double stack if both elements are the same, but even then, 40% is a huge buff, and because it doesn't rely on reactions or strict conditions, it's much easier to use compared to older support sets. That's why this is almost certainly the best in slot for characters like Nicole, and it's also very future-proof for upcoming units in this archetype. Now, the second set is a bit more interesting. It focuses on Superconduct, giving ATK on the 2-piece and boosting Superconduct damage, while also granting crit rate when hitting affected enemies. The thing is, right now, Superconduct isn't really used for damage, it's mostly just utility. So while this set works on current characters, it doesn't feel like a major upgrade over existing options. That's why this set looks more like preparation for future patches, rather than something meant for the current roster. It's very likely tied to upcoming characters who will actually scale with Superconduct damage directly, which would make this set much more valuable later. The crit rate bonus also hints at more consistent reaction-focused playstyles coming in. So overall, the first set is immediate value and something you can safely farm right now, while the second set is more of a setup for what's coming next. And together, they show that 6.6 isn't just adding new content, it's quietly setting up the direction of the meta going forward. On the story side, version 6.6 is shaping up to be a major patch overall. The Archon quest spans multiple acts along with an epilogue, and it brings a strong focus back to Sumeru with a much heavier narrative presence than usual. Nahida is expected to be at the center of everything, playing a major emotional role throughout the quest, while Dottore continues his involvement from earlier patches, and now being added as a weekly boss. This time, though, the stakes seem much higher, with hints of clone or segment mechanics playing into how his character is handled in the story. Wandrer also is heavily involved, including what looks like a boss fight scenario tied directly into the quest, adding more weight to his ongoing storyline. Pantalone appears as well, not in a major active role, but more as a setup for future Fatui developments, which is clearly building toward what's coming next. There are also mentions of other characters like the Shades being involved in a more indirect way, along with a new character named Thoth appearing during the quest. And alongside the main story, there's also 2 companion quests for Nicole and Lohen included in this version, adding a bit more character-focused content on the side. Event-wise, version 6.6 follows the usual structure, with one main flagship event supported by a few smaller side activities. The highlight here is Chronicles of the Brave Hero's Trial, which seems to lean into a more relaxed setup where you travel alongside various companions and creature-like partners, taking part in small narrative moments, exploration bits, and simple minigames tied to them, making it feel more connected to the overall narrative Nadovich, rather than just a standalone event. Alongside that, there are 3 smaller events expected during the patch. Brilliant Color Chase focuses on photography-style gameplay, Arcane Rhythm Game adds a lighter rhythm-based activity, and Fantastic Companion Journey leans more towards combat challenges. These are pretty standard in terms of structure, simple to complete, consistent rewards, and designed so most players can clear them without heavy investment. Abyss buffs are also very clearly aligned with the new characters. One side gives a massive damage bonus when you're protected by a shield, which directly benefits Nicole teams. The other side leans more towards reaction or energy-based setups, likely tied to Mavwika. This is one of those cycles where the game is very obviously encouraging you to use the new units. Imaginarium Theater this time focuses on Cryo, Pyro, and Geo, with Prune included as a special guest character. That's actually a nice touch, because if you're pulling for Nicole, you'll naturally get Prune and can use her immediately. And the boss lineup includes enemies like Magoo Kenki and the Perpetual Mechanical Array, which most players are already familiar with. There's also a noticeable focus on visual polish this patch. Navia and Wandrer are both getting new envisaged echo sprint effects, and while they're pretty similar overall, Navia's definitely stands out more visually. Imaginarium Theater is also getting a visual glow-up with new thespian poses for Mavwika, Citlali, Shilinen, and Escoffier, all purely cosmetic and meant for flair and photo mode rather than combat. Personally, I like the Shilinen and Emily ones. They just look way cleaner compared to the rest. There are also smaller quality-of-life improvements like save points during long Archon quests, which is something players have been asking for a long time. It might seem minor, but for a long quest like this, it makes a real difference. When it comes to Primogems, the total for free-to-play players is estimated at around 8,500 Primogems, plus a few intertwined fates, which comes out to roughly 60 pulls. That's slightly below average for a full patch, mainly because there's no major new exploration area, but it's still solid. With Welkin and Battle Pass, that number goes up significantly, getting closer to the 90 pull range. So overall, 6.6 feels like a very intentional patch. The characters are well connected, the artifacts are clearly setting up future teams, and the story is moving forward in a meaningful way. Nicole stands out as the main long-term pull. Lohen is more playstyle specific, and Prune adds strong value as a 4-star support. So if this video helped you plan your Primogems, don't forget to leave a like. Lastly, good luck with your pulls, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care, and bye. If you want to play games outside of gacha, but let's be honest, Steam prices can get pretty expensive. That's where Loot Bar comes in. Loot Bar is mainly known as a top-up platform, but they also have a gain key marketplace where you can find discounts of up to 80%. For example, I've been wanting to try Resident Evil for a while now. On Steam, it's priced at $82, but on Loot Bar, it's only $54. That's already $28 saved without doing anything. And if you're a new user, the price drops even further to just $49. That's over $33 off just for signing up. And it doesn't stop there. There's also a 20% cash back promo, so you're saving even more. You can activate your key in about 30 seconds, and you'll get money back on top of it. Loot Bar has a 4.9 rating on Trustpilot with tens of thousands of reviews. They offer official keys, instant delivery, and even a 7-day refund guarantee. Honestly, it's just a cheaper and smarter way to buy real games. Check out my link in the description and the pinned comment.